When I hear a little rustling rush in the grass or heath or in the dead leaves under trees, I can tell whether it is a snake or lizard, mouse or bird. Many birds I am aware of by the sound of their flight. I can nearly always tell what trees I am near by the sound of the wind in their leaves, though in the same tree it differs much from spring to autumn.
The yew tree is one of our
The leaves become harder and drier in texture. The birches have a small, quick, high-pitched sound. I am often deceived it is rain, when it is only the leaves hitting each other with a small rain-like patter. The voice of the oak is also rather high-pitched, though lower than that of the birch. Chestnut leaves in a mild breeze sound much more deliberate, a sort of slow slither.
Where it grows together with
Nearly all the
ash
trees
and the
in
oak
gentle wind have a
proximity,
pleasing sound,
that place is
but
meant
I
to be
confess
steeped in fairy
to a
lore,
distant
a
dislike
part
to the
of
noise of
fairyland
all the
itself.
poplars, feeling it to be
Because of its
painfully
thorns,
fussy,
the tree is
unrestful and
considered to be
disturbing.
protective,
On
and
the other
this
hand,
includes
how soothing and delightful is the
The
murmur
doors
of
were
the Scotch
closed,
firs,
and I had
both
instead
near
to
and
make my
far.
worship in the
And
lovely
what
outer
pleasant,
world,
muffled
with the
music
rising
is
sun
that of
and the blue
wind-waved
heaven for a
field
roof.
of corn,
The world was
especially
beautiful,
of
so
ripe
fresh,
barley.
the frost just making a delightful edge to the sweet, still air. I scarcely missed the service. The music of the universe seemed so divine with
The
me.
mountains this morning
I was
were
so
wonderful.
glad to have been out.
The light
I
almost
walked to
pink, and the shadows almost magenta. Colour, Senor thinks, is life. A black and white drawing is a most beautiful thing, but put a touch of colour, and then it must all be colour. A very busy morning, finishing off many things before going to Monk's Hatch. Met May and Andrew at Clapham, and found a very pretty place at the end of the journey. The house put down in such a lovely spot, like some old garden, and so complete, and done with so much taste and thought. We sat in the studio, and in the evening May played the organ so deliciously, a very beautiful nature.
This
Sunday,
is one
August
of Britain's
14th.
ancient trees,
Monk's Hatch.
often used in hedging,
A very
but
lovely
also
day.
found as a freestanding
We looked
tree.
over Surrey with its
The
beautiful
hawthorn,
English
depending on its
character,
location,
and
can
Senor
grow
said
up
it
to
was
10
as
metres
lovely as
tall.
anything he had
A
ever seen in his
deciduous tree.
life.
Its
Nature
shiny,
so
lobed
various.
leaves start to unfurl
I went
in
to
early
church with
spring.
May, and Senor
Its
had
frothy
his in
white
his own
blossoms have a
cathedral,
distinctive
at home in
heady
the
scent.
garden.
The tree was
After
at one
luncheon,
time
we
usually
walked together on
blossoming by
Hog's
May
Back
Day,
and
hence the name.
rejoiced. The air was
But
full
the
of
calendar
insects.
was revised in
I never saw such numbers of
1752,
butterflies.
bringing the 1st of May forward by 13
Tuesday,
days.
August 30th.
So
Monk's
nowadays,
Hatch.
it's less likely
A
to
lovely
be in
morning.
flower at that exact
Senor and I
time.
walked for some time among
After
the
the
lovely
blossoms
growth
fade,
all
the
around.
haws start to
Great
develop,
branches of red, brown dogberry,
growing into
a bright
shiny,
green
bright red
bryony
berries by
climbing up.
autumn.
Nature
Just
so
when the
beautiful
tree
and
starts
so
to shed
different.
its leaves.
The country so lovely under the passing effect of cloud shadows, which Senor says makes English landscape, which depends on the beauty of detail
Secondly,
and
there are
variety
plants
in
with
light
sweet
and shade,
leaves.
more than landscape,
Some of them
which
have
has a
sweet
wider
flowers
range
also,
and greater nobility
that
of
do not
line.
give off their scent in the air but yield it to the touch.
Marking small trees of scrub
Such are
oak
rosemary
around
and
the little house of
lavender,
Tyler.
bay,
Senor's tender heart
myrtle,
won't allow more than 3
candleberry
or 4
gale
to go
and
at a time.
rhododendron
I
among
feel
shrubs.
we must have light
Sweet
and air to be
geranium,
there
sweet
also.
verbena, and balm of Gilead
I should
among
not
the
want to
tender
have
plants,
many deciduous
and a number
trees
of the
around
sweet
us in the
herbs
autumn,
and their near
littering their
relatives,
decaying leaves
balm,
about and
thyme,
making it damp.
savoury, sage, and
We walked down
variegated
to our garden,
mint.
the bare field now full of ruts and stubbles, but so sunny, and the garden in imagination so delicious. The peep up towards the house, the chimney stacks among the pines, the comfortable house in the heart of beautiful nature was noticed by us for the first time. We walked back very thankfully, Senor quite brimming over with the pleasure of it all. Sunday, February the 1st. Picked the first primrose. Lovely. Sat out to have coffee without hats or cloaks. A spring day, Andrew's birthday. We spent a long time at Limners. Went round marking out the line for the fence of the wood. Senor and May paced up and down the sunny path of the garden. I think we shall often go there for shelter and warmth on spring mornings if all is well. The day cleared and was pleasant as I drove out to Natural Nurseries. I found young Mr. Waterer waiting to go round with me, and we spent 3/4 of an hour very quickly choosing yews, hollies, junipers, laurels, rhododendrons, azaleas, rejecting all arbor vitae.
When I hear a little rustling rush in the grass or heath or in the dead leaves under trees, I can tell whether it is a snake or lizard, mouse or bird. Many birds I am aware of by the sound of their flight. I can nearly always tell what trees I am near by the sound of the wind in their leaves, though in the same tree it differs much from spring to autumn. The leaves become harder and drier in texture. The birches have a small, quick, high-pitched sound. I am often deceived it is rain, when it is only the leaves hitting each other with a small rain-like patter. The voice of the oak is also rather high-pitched, though lower than that of the birch. Chestnut leaves in a mild breeze sound much more deliberate, a sort of slow slither. Nearly all the trees in gentle wind have a pleasing sound, but I confess to a distant dislike to the noise of all the poplars, feeling it to be painfully fussy, unrestful and disturbing. On the other hand, how soothing and delightful is the murmur of the Scotch firs, both near and far, and what pleasant muffled music is that of wind-waved field of corn, especially of ripe barley.
The air was sweet, like orange blossoms, some delicate combination of dear dying leaves giving up their souls odorously. The two men looking so clean and healthy, fresh as the morning, and such children of nature, their very clothes stained like the leaves and the brown earth all around them, beginning their day with the vigorous prod of their spade, and all the contentment of strength, absence of care, absence of haste.
On Tuesday afternoon, to witness the arrival of the Portsmouth and Southampton contingents, were greatly disappointed. They expected an imposing procession of women, but the pilgrims came straggling into the town in twos and threes, tired and weary, and made their way to the local headquarters in Mount Street. Here they were supplied with tea by the Guildford Society.
Political.
The arrangement being
personal
made by
is political.
Miss Nolene Baker, Honorary
The personal
Secretary,
is political.
and Miss Seymour, Honorary
The personal
Treasurer.
is political.
There were several motor cars decorated
personal
with the
is political.
suffragette colours, and a cart prettily arranged with evergreens and ribbons. At 5:30, however, a procession was formed and headed by the Guildford Town Band, went
Forked
via
hazel
the
twigs
High
shaped
Street
like a letter Y,
and
a
Chertsey
favourite
Street
by
to North
dowsers
Street, where
who
a short
have the
meeting was
talent to
held.
find water
It was rather
and
a
other
travesty
substances
of
that
a
are hidden
procession.
from view by
Some
holding
half a
the
dozen
twigs and
banners
responding
and
to the
about
movements
70
they
women,
make.
many of whom were pushing bicycles. The Reverend J.C. Wilcox,
It
curate
would
of
be a
Stoke,
pleasant thing to
walked
know
in the procession,
that
and
somewhere
Commander
in the
Thornhill
garden
was one of the
there was a
standard
region
bearers.
where nearly
There was no
everything was
demonstration,
not only
and the
beautiful
spectators
but
seemed to
also
treat the affair as a
fragrant,
huge joke.
where
"Is
at
that
every
all?
step
What a
one
sell,"
would be
remarked a
greeted by
woman
some
after the
sweet
pilgrims had
scent,
passed, and
to
that
know that
about
whichever way
summed
the
up the
wind might
feelings of
blow,
others
it
who
would
had left
waft
their
some
tea in
delicious
the
breath of
expectation that
perfume
witnesses
to
would be
still.
seen. No one who saw the crowd in North Street in the evening, however, could say that Guildford is not interesting in the suffrage question, and the 4 plucky women who faced a hostile audience must have felt that they at any rate had scored a victory in that they had aroused the people numbers, but there must have been 8,000 people lively scenes, and this was used as a platform, and the meeting started a few minutes as the large number of women and children fun commenced at the same time. As soon as Mrs. Dempster, who chairman soon gave up in despair, and then Mrs. Richardson, who said she was the wife of the London stoker, attempted to address the crowd. She was greeted with cries of derision, and the singing and whistling quite drowned her voice. But there was a sympathetic audience behind the platform, and she quickly realised this, and for a quarter of an hour held her ground,
Secondly, there
getting
are
in
plants
several
with
good
sweet
points.
leaves. Some of them have sweet flowers also,
A
that
rush
do
for
not
the
give off
wagonette.
their scent in the air but
The crowd
yield
in
it to
front,
the touch.
realising that they had been defeated in
Such
their
are
attempt to howl
rosemary
down
and
the speaker,
lavender,
adopted another
bay,
plan of
myrtle,
campaign. An ugly
candleberry
rush
gale and
was made for the
rhododendron
wagonette,
among shrubs.
and the women
Sweet
occupants,
geranium,
seeing
sweet
their danger,
verbena,
appealed
and
to the
balm
police
of
for
Gilead
help.
among the tender
It was
plants,
quickly forthcoming.
and a number
The
of the
stalwart
sweet
borough
herbs
policeman
and their near
forced their way
relatives,
through,
balm, thyme,
drove the men back,
savoury,
and formed
sage,
a cordon round the vehicle.
and variegated
Mrs.
mint.
Dorothy Hunter of Hazelmere was the next speaker. She has not a strong voice, and
The
was quite
personal
unable to
is
make it carry
political.
above the pandemonium
The
which was
personal
raging
is
in front of the
political.
wagonette. She waited
The
patiently for
personal
several
is
minutes and then
political.
turned her back on those in
The
front,
personal is
with
political.
evident disgust, and spoke to the people
Personal
behind.
is political.
Despite many interruptions, she made an excellent speech, lasting quite half an hour, making point after point in a telling manner. Several times during the speech, an attempt was made to rush the vehicle, but police were too wide awake for the crowd. Eventually, however, the rowdy element succeeded in reaching the back of the wagonette and made a downward rush. The vehicle was tilted partly over, and it looked as if the occupants would be thrown out, but the police, with the help of some civilians, succeeded in righting the vehicle.
Finishing off many things before going to Monk's
Escape of suffragettes.
Met May and Andrew at Clapham.
By this time,
and found a very
the crowd
pretty
was getting
place
out of
at the
hand,
end of the
and there was a
journey.
danger
The
of a
house put
riot.
down in such a lovely spot.
On the advice
Like
of the
some
chief
old
constable,
garden,
the
and
meeting
so
was brought
complete.
to a conclusion,
I'm done with so
and
much
under
of
the
these.
there are
escort of
plants with
police,
sweet leaves.
We sat in
the
the
speech
streets.
Some of them have
proceeded
sweet
down North
leaves
Street,
also.
May
followed
That
by
do
a
not
great
give off
crowd
their
of
scent
people.
in the air, but yield
They were
it
taken
to
up
the
Swan
touch.
Lane into the High Street,
Such are
where
rosemary
a
and
taxi cab
lavender,
was chartered, and they
bay,
got safely away.
myrtle, candleberry
During the
gale,
concluding
and
scene,
rhododendron
apples were
among
thrown,
shrubs.
and the suffragette
Sweet
literature
geranium,
in the wagonette
sweet
was tossed into
verbena,
the air
balm
and
of
trampled
Gilead
underfoot.
among the tender plants.
Happily, no one was
and a
hurt in
number
the
of the
crowd,
sweet
and no
herbs
damage was
and their
done.
near relatives.
The highest
Balm,
praise is due to the
thyme,
police,
savoury,
who, under the
sage,
orders of Chief
and
Constable Nicholas,
variegated
managed the crowd splendidly. They came in for a good deal of hustling, but they kept their heads and emerged triumphant. Only one arrest was made, the offender having kicked one of the constables. It was some time before the police managed to clear the street, for the people seemed loath to realise that the sport of women baiting had come to an end.
The personal is political.